Raising your vibrational frequency is very important because that's how you become the best version of yourself. It's more so about raising your level of consciousness or awareness, but your awareness or consciousness, however you want to call it, is also a frequency of vibration, energy, light, information, all that. And so, you know, when you're trying to raise the level of your consciousness to receive higher information and to be a higher version of yourself or a better version or the best version of yourself, within a certain reality or the highest reality that you know, you could potentially experience, you have to consider some factors because a lot of people have entity attachments from not protecting their energy, from many years of not understanding what's going on. And, you know, it just is what it is. It's going to be hard to raise your vibration, when you are unaware of an entity attachment. So there are beings in the lower astral realm, okay? They go by many different names, but they're pretty much like parasites. And they feed off your energy. They latch onto your auric field and they can mess with your consciousness and they can mess with you in general. They can have you do stupid things. They can make you ruin your life. They can influence you to think certain things over and over, feel certain things over and over. You really have to do the work to protect your energy. Some people call it the spiritual work. Some people call it the inner work. But, you do have to do, the work of going within yourself and fine tuning things, basically. Because if you don't, then, you know, it's just going to be that much harder to try to be the best version of yourself in consciousness. It's all in consciousness. It's not like you're trying to be the best version of yourself just with action alone. It all starts in consciousness. So, from fine tuning your consciousness and dealing with your entity attachments, okay? Because if you've been stuck in a negative mind state, a negative emotional loop, you're going to have a lot of entities that are in your energy and that are feeding off of that and trying to keep you there so that they can feed, so that they can exist more. They're manipulating your reality until you truly become aware of it and fully conscious of what's going on. It's going to keep happening. And so you're going to be stuck. You're going to be stuck in a lower version of yourself in a reality that you can't quite figure out why I'm stuck in, you know? And that's what you're going to be thinking to yourself. Why am I continuously stuck here? Because I lived this. Like, I know. I struggled with this, and it took me a long time of doing the work and then falling back into old patterns and then doing the work again. Because sometimes these entities just don't want to let you go. Like, they're so used to being able to trigger you and pull you back and mess with your auric field and all that. And, they've learned you. After a while, they know what triggers you. They know how you operate and, how your mind works and all that. And they can do little things to pull you back, to trigger you, to mess with you, all that. And that's where you really gotta know yourself, or, as the gnosis term goes, know thyself. So if you ever heard that, then you know. But yeah, it's like you just got to be aware. And if you're not, then maybe you need to take some time in solitude, have a little quiet time, think, let some things come to you, reflect, and you'll get the answers. But now, if you don't care about none of this, then it doesn't matter. It's never going to matter. It just is what it is. But if you are trying to improve yourself in consciousness, you're trying to be the best version of yourself, you're trying to raise your vibrational frequency, you're trying to raise the level of awareness, then yeah, you got to become aware of these things. There's many different beings in the astral realm that act as parasites that try to influence people, that get people to do all kind of crazy stuff to ruin their lives, you know, to get them locked in prison so they can really continuously feed off their energy. At that point, it's going to be that much harder to get rid of them because, they got you to do some dumb stuff. And now your frequency is really low. That's where they want you. And, they basically have possession of your energy. So, yeah, like I had to learn this the hard way. Luckily, you know, my entity attachments didn't get me to do nothing too crazy. But I did, go through some suffering. I did go through a dark night of the soul for a long time. And I was all alone in the situation. Nobody can really help you because you got to face yourself. Ultimately, you got to face your own demons. That's basically what it is. You got to clean out the demons in your closet. Um, and once you do that, you make room for the new. And then you can raise that vibrational frequency and become the best version of yourself. It's all in consciousness. So when your consciousness raises, you no longer hold on to the old conscious frequency. And, like a lot of people say in the manifestation community, it is true that the old frequency will linger. And sometimes that's because of an entity attachment or several entity attachments or, you know, your energy being easily accessed by beings in the lower astral realm that feed off, negativity and stuff. And you just got to close the portals by doing the inner work and slowly but surely the raising of your consciousness, when you become more aware and you become more intentional with what you're trying to do, those portals will close and you'll be able to create the new version of yourself and stay in it permanently.